Your sister is a deadweight, Kyle. She sleeps in our guest room, eats our food, and contributes nothing. I want her gone by Friday. My sister-in-law said that on a Tuesday night. She didn't know I was standing in the hallway, barefoot, holding a glass of water I'd gotten from the kitchen. She also didn't know I had $8.6 million sitting in a brokerage account under my name. But I'll get to that. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My name is Audrey Whitfield. I'm 31 years old, and 6 months ago, I sold my software company to a private equity firm in Austin for $11 million. After taxes, legal fees, and the chunk I put into index funds immediately, I walked away with $8.6 million in liquid assets. Nobody in my family knew. Not my brother Kyle, not his wife Megan, not my parents before they passed. To them, I was Audrey, the younger sister who'd been doing something with computers for years without much to show for it. The truth was, I'd built a cybersecurity platform from my apartment in Portland, grown it to 40 employees, and sold it quietly. No press releases, no LinkedIn announcements. I wanted to disappear into the next chapter of my life without fanfare. But then my mom died. Pancreatic cancer. Fast and merciless. 8 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. Dad had passed 3 years before from a stroke, so Mom's death left Kyle and me as the last of the Whitfields. At the funeral in Charlotte, North Carolina, Kyle pulled me aside. He looked older than 37, thinning hair, tired eyes, a suit that didn't fit right anymore. Audrey, Megan and I were talking. You're alone in Portland. No job anymore since you left that startup thing. Why don't you come stay with us for a while? The kids would love having their aunt around. We have the guest room. It could be good for both of us. No job anymore. That's how he understood it. I told the family I was transitioning out of my company, which they interpreted as being laid off or failing. I never corrected them. Kyle's offer came at the right time for my purposes. Not because I needed housing, but because I needed to understand something. My mother, in her final weeks, had whispered something that haunted me. Watch out for Megan, sweetheart. She's not who she pretends to be. And Kyle, he's lost himself in that marriage. I wanted to know what she meant, so I said yes. I moved into their house in the Dilworth neighborhood of Charlotte in late September. A renovated Craftsman, 4 bedrooms, nice street, the kind of house that looks like it belongs in a magazine, but costs every penny of its $620,000 mortgage. Kyle worked as a regional sales manager for a medical device company. Decent salary, maybe $95,000. Megan didn't work. She managed the household, which meant hot yoga at 9 a.m., lunch with friends at noon, and online shopping until the kids came home from school. Their daughter Emma was 7. Smart, quiet, watched everything with big brown eyes that missed nothing. Their son Jack was 4, a tornado in sneakers who called me Auntie Odd and attached himself to my leg every morning. The first month was fine. I helped with school pickups, cooked dinner 3 nights a week, played with the kids, stayed out of the way. I offered Kyle $1,500 a month for rent and groceries. He tried to refuse. Megan accepted before he could finish his sentence. That's very generous, Audrey. We could use the help with expenses. She said it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I paid in cash, $1,500 bills in an envelope on the kitchen counter, first of every month. I wanted a physical reminder of my contribution, something they'd have to pick up and count. By month 2, the dynamic shifted. Megan stopped saying thank you for dinner. My contributions became invisible, expected. The guest room I slept in was also the room where Megan stored her seasonal clothes, her exercise equipment, her boxes of stuff she'd ordered and never returned. She'd walk in without knocking to grab a yoga mat or a jacket. No apology, no acknowledgement that it was supposed to be my space. Oh, you're in here? I just need my resistance bands. She'd rummage through the closet while I sat on the bed with my laptop, building my next venture in silence. Kyle worked late most nights. When he was home, he was distracted, scrolling his phone, half listening. The man who'd hugged me at Mom's funeral and said we need to stick together had become a ghost in his own house. One evening in November, I was helping Emma with her math homework at the kitchen table. She was struggling with fractions. I drew little pie charts on scrap paper, made it a game. Emma's face lit up when she finally understood. Auntie Odd, you're the best teacher ever. Better than Mrs. Patterson. Megan appeared in the doorway. Emma, your actual teacher has a degree in education. Let's not compare. She looked at me. Audrey, I'd prefer if you didn't confuse her with alternative methods. The school has a system. I kept my voice even. She was stuck. I just showed her a different way to visualize it. I appreciate that, but we follow the school's curriculum in this house. She guided Emma away. I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the pie charts I'd drawn, and something cold settled in my stomach. This wasn't about math. This was about territory, about making sure I knew my place. December brought the holidays. I offered to contribute $500 toward Christmas gifts for the kids. Megan took the money and bought them presents labeled, "From Mom and Dad." My name appeared on nothing. I bought Emma and Jack separate gifts with my own wrapping, my own tags. When they opened them Christmas morning, Emma hugged me tight. Megan watched with her arms crossed. "You didn't have to do that, Audrey. We had it covered. I wanted to. They're my niece and nephew." "Right. Of course." That smile again. The one that said I was being tolerated, not welcomed. January. 5 months in. I'd paid $7,500 in rent, cooked approximately 60 dinners, driven the kids to school 22 times, helped Emma with homework almost every night, played with Jack in the backyard until my knees ached, and the envelope of cash disappeared from the counter faster each month, sometimes before I'd even set it down. "Oh, I saw the envelope," Megan would say casually. "Got it. Thanks." My hidden portfolio had grown to $8.9 million. A tech stock I'd invested in had jumped 14% over the holidays. I checked my accounts on my phone in the bathroom, the only place I had privacy. Sometimes I'd sit on the edge of the tub, looking at numbers that could buy this house 14 times over, and laugh quietly at the absurdity of my situation. The Tuesday night, everything changed, started normally. Dinner, dishes, kids to bed. I went to my room at 9, read for an hour, then got thirsty. Walked to the kitchen barefoot, filled a glass at the sink. On my way back, I heard voices from behind Kyle and Megan's bedroom door. Megan's voice, sharp enough to cut glass. "She's been here 5 months, Kyle. 5 months. She sits in that room doing nothing on her laptop. She has no job, no income. $1,500 a month? That barely covers what she eats. She cooks, Meg. She helps with the kids. Helps? She's confusing Emma with her little pie chart games, and Jack clings to her like she's his mother. It's not healthy. They need boundaries. A pause. Then Megan again. The words that changed everything. "Your sister is a deadweight, Kyle. She sleeps in our guest room, eats our food, and contributes nothing. I want her gone by Friday." I stood frozen in the hallway, water glass trembling in my hand. "Meg, she's my sister. She just lost Mom. Where's she supposed to go? She's 31 years old. She can figure it out. Get an apartment. Get a real job. She's been freeloading long enough. I didn't sign up to raise your sister along with our kids. She pays rent. $1,500? Megan's laugh was cruel. Our mortgage is $4,200 a month. She's not even covering half a room's worth. And frankly, I'm tired of her being here. I feel like I can't breathe in my own house." Silence. I waited for Kyle to push back. To say something about family, about the sister who'd cooked his dinners and driven his children and sat with his daughter over fractions until she smiled. "Okay," Kyle said. "I'll talk to her this weekend." Friday, Kyle. "I want her out by the end of next week. Tell her whatever you need to. Tell her it's about space, about her needing independence. I don't care. Just handle it." I walked backward to my room without making a sound. Set the water glass on the nightstand. Sat on the edge of the bed in the dark. "Deadweight," the word echoed. My mother's warning echoed louder. She's not who she pretends to be. I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark, listening to the house settle, and made decisions. By 3 a.m., I had a plan. Not rage, not tears. Strategy. I'd spent 8 years building a company from nothing. I knew how to execute under pressure. Kyle found me at breakfast. Megan had taken the kids to school, conveniently absent. He poured coffee, sat across from me, and performed his script badly. "Odd, I've been thinking. You've been here a while, and I know it was supposed to be temporary. Maybe it's time you found your own place? For you, really. Independence. Your own space. A fresh start." Every word borrowed from Megan's playbook. I watched his face, looking for the brother I remembered. The boy who'd taught me to ride a bike. The teenager who'd threatened to fight any kid who bullied me in middle school. He was gone, buried under a mortgage and a wife who controlled him with precision. "You're right," I said. "I'll be out by Sunday." He blinked. "That fast? I mean, you don't have to rush. Take a couple weeks. Sunday's fine. I've been thinking about it too. Relief flooded his face. He didn't even try to hide it. Okay. Good. That's good, Aud. And hey, no hard feelings? You're always welcome to visit. Sure, Kyle. I finished my coffee and went to my room to pack. I had 3 days. Here's what I did with them. Day 1, Wednesday. I called a real estate agent named Victoria Soto, the top-rated luxury agent in Charlotte. I'd researched her the night before. Miss Soto, my name is Audrey Whitfield. I'm looking for a home in the Myers Park or Eastover area. My budget is $1.2 million, and I'll be paying cash. The silence on her end lasted 4 full seconds. Cash. For the entire purchase? Yes. I'd like to see properties tomorrow if possible. I'll clear my entire afternoon. Day 2, Thursday. Victoria showed me 5 homes. The third one stopped me cold. A restored Georgian revival in Eastover, built in 1928, updated with modern systems but keeping every ounce of its original character. Hardwood floors, arched doorways, a garden in the back with a magnolia tree that must have been 80 years old, listed at $1.15 million. The sellers had already moved to London. I'll take it, I said, standing in the kitchen where afternoon light poured through original casement windows. Full asking price. Cash. Can we close by next Wednesday? Victoria's professional composure cracked just slightly, a smile she couldn't contain. For a cash buyer with no contingencies, I'll make it happen. I called my financial advisor, Dennis Park, that evening. I need $1.15 million transferred to my checking account by Monday. No problem. Pulling from the bond allocation? Split it however makes sense tax-wise. You know my situation. Done. And Audrey, congratulations. Save that for after closing. Day 3, Friday. I finished packing. Everything I owned fit in 4 boxes and 2 suitcases. I'd always traveled light. That afternoon, while Megan was at yoga and Kyle was at work, Emma came home on the school bus. I was the one who met her at the door. As usual. Auntie Aud, can we do fractions today? Not today. Sweetheart, I need to tell you something. I knelt to her level. I'm going to be moving to my own house soon. Her face crumbled. Why? Did I do something wrong? No, baby. You did everything right. Sometimes grown-ups need their own space. But I'm not going far. And I'll always be your Auntie Aud. She hugged me so tight I felt her heartbeat against my chest. Jack, who'd been listening from the living room, ran over and grabbed my leg. No! Auntie Aud stays. I held them both and memorized the feeling. These children were the only pure thing in this house. Sunday morning. I loaded my boxes into the trunk of my Honda Civic, the car I'd kept specifically because it made me look broke. Kyle helped carry boxes. Megan stood in the doorway watching, coffee in hand, wearing satisfaction like a new outfit. You know you're always welcome to visit, Audrey, Megan said. The kids will miss you. The kids will miss me. Not we. Not I. The kids. I left an envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside, $1,500 in cash, my final month's contribution, and a note. Thank you for your hospitality these 5 months. I found a place of my own. The kids are wonderful. Don't take that for granted. Audrey. I drove away without looking in the rearview mirror. My new home smelled like fresh paint and old wood. The movers had delivered my furniture the day before. New pieces I'd ordered online using my real bank account. A proper bed, a desk for my office, a reading chair by the garden window. The magnolia tree was blooming early, white petals bright against the February gray. I made coffee in my new kitchen, walked through every room, touched the walls. This was mine, bought outright. No mortgage, no landlord, no sister-in-law telling me I was a deadweight in someone else's house. I stood in the garden and cried, not from sadness, from relief. A week passed. Kyle texted twice. Hope you're settling in okay and kids asking about you. Maybe visit soon? I responded with a thumbs-up emoji and nothing else. Meanwhile, I had work to do. I called my attorney, Rachel Horowitz. We'd worked together during the company sale. Sharp, thorough, no tolerance for nonsense. Rachel, I need to set up a few things. First, I want an irrevocable trust for my niece and nephew, Emma and Jack Whitfield, $1 million, accessible when they turn 25, with provisions for education expenses before that. Done. What else? My brother Kyle borrowed $85,000 from me over the past 4 years. $30,000 for a bathroom renovation, $20,000 when his car broke down, $15,000 for Megan's emergency dental surgery, $20,000 for a vacation to Hawaii. They said they'd pay back. I have text messages confirming each loan and his promises to repay. Do you have signed documents? For the $30,000? Yes. He signed a promissory note. For the rest, I have text messages, Venmo records, and email confirmations. That's enforceable. What do you want to do? Nothing. Yet. Just prepare the demand letter. I'll tell you when to send it. Understood. One more thing. I want to update my will. Kyle gets $25,000 total. Everything else goes to the Children's Trust and 3 charities I'll specify. Rachel paused. This is about more than money, isn't it? It's about finding out if your family loves you or just finds you useful. I got my answer. 3 weeks after I moved out, I invited Kyle to lunch. Just Kyle. A restaurant in Uptown Charlotte, the kind of place where entrees start at $40, and the wine list requires a glossary. He showed up in khakis and a button-down, looking around the restaurant like he'd wandered into the wrong building. Fancy place, Aud. Special occasion? You could say that. I waited until we'd ordered. Then I set a folder on the table between us. Kyle, there's something I need to tell you, and I need you to listen before you react. He looked at the folder like it might bite him. What's going on? When I told the family I was transitioning out of my company, that wasn't entirely accurate. I sold my company, the cybersecurity platform I built over 8 years. Okay. How much did you get? $11 million. His fork hit his plate. The sound was louder than it should have been in that quiet restaurant. What? After taxes and fees, I currently have approximately $8.9 million in investments and liquid assets. I own a home in Eastover that I purchased with cash for $1.15 million. Kyle stared at me. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. You lived in our guest room. You paid us $1,500 a month. You drove that old Civic. Yes. While you had $8 million? I wanted to know if my family valued me as a person or as a financial equation. I wanted to know if my brother would stand up for me or let his wife call me a deadweight and throw me out like garbage. The color drained from his face. You heard that. Every word, Kyle. I was in the hallway. Your sister is a deadweight. She sleeps in our guest room, eats our food, and contributes nothing. I want her gone by Friday. And you said, okay. He put his head in his hands. Audrey, I cooked 60 dinners in your house, drove your kids to school, helped Emma with homework every night, paid you $7,500 in rent, and your wife called me a deadweight, and you agreed. I didn't agree. I didn't fight it. There's a difference. No, Kyle, there isn't. I let the silence do its work. He sat across from me, breathing hard, and I watched him do the math. $8.9 million. The sister he'd dismissed. The guest room he'd emptied. There's something else, I said. I slid the second document across. The summary of loans, $85,000 total, with text messages and the promissory note attached. I have an attorney preparing a demand letter for full repayment, $85,000 plus interest. She can send it whenever I say the word. We don't have $85,000. I know. I picked up my water glass, took a slow sip. So here's what happens next. You go home, you tell Megan everything, every number. Then, you both sit with the reality of what you did to the person who would have helped you with anything, who would have paid off your mortgage, who would have set up your children for life, if you'd simply treated her like family. Kyle's eyes were red. Would you have? Really? You'll never know. That's the cost. He told Megan that evening. I know because my phone exploded. 17 texts, 9 missed calls. Megan's messages started apologetic and escalated to desperate. Audrey, Kyle told me everything. I am so deeply sorry for the things I said. Please let us make this right. The kids miss you terribly. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm begging you to consider it. Audrey, please. We can't afford the $85,000. Please don't do this. I read them all, responded to none. 2 weeks of silence. During that time, Megan's social circle discovered the story. Charlotte's social world is smaller than people think. Someone at Megan's yoga studio heard it from someone who'd heard it from Victoria Soto's office, my real estate agent, a cash buyer named Whitfield, sister of that Whitfield family in Dilworth. The math wasn't hard. Megan stopped going to yoga. Her book club met without her. The school pickup line, where she'd always lingered to chat, became a drive-through operation. Drop. Go. Don't make eye contact. Kyle's work performance slipped. Late reports, missed calls. His manager noticed. A colleague who knew the family gossip mentioned it at lunch. The guy who kicked out his millionaire sister. Not a good look. Meanwhile, I was settling into my new life. I'd started advising early-stage startups through a women's tech incubator downtown. 3 mornings a week, I mentored founders who reminded me of myself at 23. Brilliant, broke, and too stubborn to quit. It gave me purpose. It reminded me that I was more than a sister, more than an aunt, more than the woman in someone's guest room. Emma called me on a Saturday morning. She'd found my number in Kyle's phone. "Auntie Aud, when are you coming back?" "I'm not coming back to live there, sweetheart, but I'd love to see you. Mommy cries a lot now. And Daddy's always mad. Jack doesn't understand. He keeps asking where you went." My chest tightened. These kids hadn't done anything wrong. They were absorbing their parents' consequences, breathing in the fallout of adult cruelty. "Tell you what, ask your dad if I can take you and Jack for pancakes next Saturday." "Really?" Her voice brightened like a light switching on. "Really?" Kyle agreed immediately. The following Saturday, I picked them up at 9 a.m. Megan watched from the front door. She'd lost weight, looked older. I didn't acknowledge her beyond a nod. At the pancake house, Jack ate chocolate chips off the top of his stack and told me about his new friend at preschool. Emma was quieter. She studied me with those sharp brown eyes. "Auntie Aud, are you mad at Mommy and Daddy?" "I'm disappointed in some choices they made. But that's between us grown-ups. It has nothing to do with you two. Tommy at school said you're rich. Are you rich?" "I have enough to take care of myself and the people I love. Do you love us?" "More than pancakes." Jack looked up, chocolate on his chin. "That's a lot." I drove them home. Kyle was waiting on the porch. He walked to my car as the kids ran inside. "Audrey, can we talk?" "Please." "Not about money. Just talk." "Not yet, Kyle. I'm not ready." "When?" "When I believe you understand what happened. Not the money part. The part where you chose comfort over your sister." He nodded slowly. Went inside. I drove home to my house on the tree-lined street where nobody told me I was a burden. Rachel sent the demand letter the following Monday. Certified mail. Kyle signed for it at the door. $85,000 plus $6,000, $200 in accrued interest, payable in 60 days. The letter included a copy of the promissory note with his signature, screenshots of text messages confirming the other loans, and a formal notice that failure to pay would result in legal action. He called me that night. For the first time, I answered, "Audrey, we can't pay this. We have maybe $12,000 in savings. Megan's parents lent us $8,000 last month for the mortgage because our budget is wrecked without your rent money. And with the way things have been going, I know you can't pay it. Then why send it? Because you need to understand what it feels like to have someone take something from you and act like it's nothing. Every time you said, 'I'll pay you back,' and didn't. Every time Megan spent money on yoga pants while you owed your sister $85,000. This is what that feels like on the other side." He was quiet for a long time. "What do you want from us, Audrey?" "Honestly, I want you to mean it. Not because I have money, because I'm your sister." 6 weeks later, I sat across from Kyle and Megan at a different restaurant. Quieter this time. A bistro in Noda, the arts district. Megan's eyes were raw. Kyle looked like he'd aged 5 years. Before anyone spoke, I asked my question. If I had $0, if I were actually the broke, jobless sister you thought I was, would you still be sitting here asking for forgiveness? Megan answered first. "I've been in therapy for 4 weeks. Individual, not couples. My therapist asked me the same thing, and I had to sit with the honest answer, which was no. If you had nothing, I wouldn't be here. I'd have moved on and felt justified." She swallowed hard. That's the ugliest thing I've ever admitted about myself. And it's true, but it's also the thing I'm most committed to changing, because when I heard myself say it out loud, I hated who I'd become. I hadn't expected that. Megan had always been the polished surface, the curated image. This was a crack in the foundation, ugly but honest. Kyle spoke next. "I failed you twice. Once when I let Megan say those things and agreed with her, and once 15 years ago when I started treating you like the little sister who'd always be fine. You were always so capable, Aud. Built your own company, handled everything yourself. I told myself you didn't need me. That was lazy and selfish. I pulled out my folder. Here are my terms. They're not negotiable." They leaned in together. 1. You pay me $20,000 of the $85,000 you owe. I forgive the remaining $65,000 and accrued interest. Pay the $20,000 over 12 months, however works for your budget. 2. Megan continues individual therapy for at least 6 months. Kyle starts his own. Couples therapy after that if the therapist recommends it. 3. I've established a trust fund for Emma and Jack. $1 million. Accessible at 25, with education provisions before that. You don't manage it. You don't access it. My attorney administers it. 4. My will leaves you $25,000 combined. The rest goes to the Children's Trust and charitable organizations. 5. You tell Mom's side of the family what happened, not on social media, in person, at Aunt Linda's house, with honesty. Megan's hand covered her mouth. Kyle read it twice. And if we refuse, Rachel files suit for the full $91,200. You figure it out from there. Kyle looked at Megan. She nodded. We accept, Kyle said. All of it. You have 48 hours to confirm in writing through Rachel's office. I stood to leave. Megan spoke. Audrey, your mother told me something at the hospital. Right before the end, she said, Audrey's the strong one. Take care of her anyway. I didn't listen. I should have. I left without responding. Not because I didn't feel it, because I needed to feel it alone. The family gathering happened at Aunt Linda's house in March. Small, intentional, 12 people. Kyle spoke first. He admitted everything. The cruelty, the ingratitude, the entitlement. Megan followed with her own confession. Raw and unrehearsed. Nothing like the polished woman who'd once critiqued my pie charts. I called Audrey a deadweight, she said, to a room gone silent. I wanted her out of my house. She'd done nothing but help us, and I treated her like she was less than nothing. I'm ashamed, and I'm working every day to become someone who would never say those words again. I stood last. I accept their apology. I believe they're working to change. Our relationship will be different going forward. There are boundaries now. But there's also a door, and it's not locked. Aunt Linda caught me in the kitchen afterward. Your mother would be proud of you, Audrey. She warned me about this, actually. She warned everyone. Nobody listened. I smiled for the first time in a long time. Saturday pancakes with Emma and Jack became a fixed appointment. Every week, same booth, same restaurant. Jack always ordered chocolate chip. Emma graduated to asking me about my work, what startups were, whether she could build a company someday. Can girls do that? She asked one morning. Sweetheart, your Auntie Aud did exactly that. And got rich, and got rich. But that's not the best part. The best part is building something that didn't exist before. The money is just proof that other people thought it was valuable too. She considered this with the seriousness only an 8-year-old can achieve. I want to build something. Then you will. By summer, things had shifted. Kyle started therapy and actually committed to it. He called me one evening, not to apologize again, but to ask for advice about his career. First time in years he'd treated me like an equal instead of a little sister to manage. Megan and I weren't friends. I don't know if we ever would be, but she'd stopped performing, stopped curating, started showing up as something closer to a real person. At Emma's school play in June, she saved me a seat next to her without being asked. Small, but real, my life found its rhythm. Mornings in my garden with the magnolia tree. Mentoring sessions downtown. Saturdays with the kids. Evenings on my back porch with a glass of wine. Watching the sun set behind the oaks. My house. My time. My choices. I didn't need Kyle and Megan's validation anymore. Didn't need to be useful to be valued. Didn't need to shrink myself to fit in someone else's guest room. One night in August, Rachel called. Everything's finalized. Trust is funded. Will is filed. Kyle and Megan have made 3 of their 12 payments on time. Good. Do you regret any of it? I thought about Emma asking if she could build something. Jack with chocolate on his chin saying that's a lot. Kyle's voice cracking when he said he'd failed me. Megan admitting the ugliest truth about herself in front of a room full of family. No, I said. Consequences aren't cruelty. They're just the truth catching up. What people do after that is their choice. I hung up, walked through my house. Every room I'd chosen, every piece of furniture, every window looking out onto the garden I'd planted myself. My mother's photo sat on the mantle. I'd placed it there the day I moved in. You were right about everything, Mom, I said to the empty room. But I handled it. The magnolia tree outside was full and green, heavy with summer. It had been growing in that garden for 80 years, long before anyone lived here. Patient, rooted, strong enough to outlast whoever owned the house around it. That felt about right. I turned off the lights and went to bed in my own home. No one else's guest room, no one else's rules, no one else's definition of what I was worth. For the first time since Mom died, I slept without dreaming. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.